Prabhupada Jai Srila Prabhupada
Jai Jai Prabhupada
Jom Vishwapat Mamam Sanithalila Pravishta Hizdavanka Savisanada Vanda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Grantra Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki jai, Tulsi Maharani ki jai, Shishi Nitai Gaurang ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Neshtaki. Reading from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Canto 1, Creation, Chapter number 1, Questions by the Sages, Text number 11. Bhurini bhuri karmani Shrotavyani vibhagashah Ataha sadhotra yatsaram Samudritya manishaya Bhuri bhadraya bhutanam Yenatma suprasidhati Bhurini bhuri karmani Shrotavyani vibhagashah Atha sadhotra yatsaram Samudritya manishaya Bhuhi bhadraya bhutanam Yenatma suprasidhati Bhurini bhuri karmani Shrotavyani vibhagashah Atha sadhotra yatsaram Samudritya manishaya Bhuri bhadraya bhutanam Yenatma suprasidhati Bhurini bhuri karmani Shrotavyani vibhagashah Tasadhotra yatsaram Samudritya manishaya Bhuhi bhadraya bhutanam Yenatma suprasidhati
Bhurini bhuri karmani Shrotavyani vibhagashah Atah sadhotra yatsaram Samudritya manishaya Bhuri bhadraya bhutanam Yenatma
suprasidhati. What word meaning? Bhurini, multifarious. Bhuri, many. Karmani, duties. Shrotavyani, to be learned. Vibhagashah, by divisions of subject matter. Ataha,
Ataha,
therefore,
therefore,
sadho,
Sadho,
O sage,
O sage,
atra,
Atra,
herein,
herein,
yat,
Yat,
whatever,
whatever,
saram,
Saram,
essence,
essence,
samudritya,
Samudrya,
by selection,
by selection,
manishaya,
Manishaya,
best to your knowledge,
best to your knowledge,
bruhi,
Ruhi,
please tell us,
please tell us,
badhaya,
Bhadraya,
for the good of all,
for the good of,
for the good of
for the good of,
bhutanam,
Bhutanam,
the living beings,
living beings,
yena,
Yena,
by which
by which
atma,
Atma,
the self,
the self,
suprasidhati,
Suprasidati,
becomes fully satisfied.
becomes fully satisfied.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Translation. There are many varieties of scriptures, and in all of them there are many prescribed duties, which can be learned only after many years of study in their various divisions. Therefore, O sage, please select the essence of all these scriptures and explain it for the good of all living beings, that by such instruction their hearts may be fully satisfied. Translation with repetition. There are many varieties of scriptures,
There are many varieties of scriptures,
and in all of them
and in all of them
there are many prescribed duties,
there are many prescribed duties,
which can be learned only
which can be learnt only
after many years of study
after many years of study
in their various divisions.
in their various reasons.
Therefore,
Therefore,
O sage,
O sage,
please select the essence
please select the essence
of all these scriptures
of all these scriptures
and explain it
and explain it
for the good of all living beings,
for the good of all living beings,
that by such instruction
that by such instruction
their hearts may be fully satisfied.
their hearts may be fully satisfied.
Purport. Atma, or self, is distinguished from matter and material elements. It is spiritual in constitution, and thus it is never satisfied by any amount of material planning. All scriptures and spiritual instructions are meant for the satisfaction of this self, or Atma. There are many varieties of approaches which are recommended for different types of living beings in different times and at different places. Consequently, the numbers of revealed scriptures are innumerable. There are different methods and prescribed duties recommended in these various scriptures. Taking into consideration the fallen condition of the people in general, Taking into consideration the fallen condition of the people in general in this age of Kali, the sages of Naimisharanya suggested that Sri Suta Goswami relate the essence of all such scriptures, because in this age it is not possible for the fallen souls to understand and undergo all the lessons of all these various scriptures in a Varna and Ashrama system. The Varna and Ashrama society was considered to be the best institution for lifting the human being to the spiritual platform. But due to Kali Yuga, it is not possible. But due to Kali Yuga, it is not possible to execute the rules and regulations of these institutions. Nor is it possible for the people in general to completely sever relations with their families as the Varnashrama institution prescribes. The whole atmosphere is charged with opposition. And considering this, one can see that spiritual emancipation for the common man in this age is very difficult. The reason the sages presented this matter to Sri Suta Goswami is explained in the following verses. The sense of Bhaktivedanta purport. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschat Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha cha kripa sindhubhe eva cha patitanam bhavnebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Mukham karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yat kripatamaham vande Shri Gurum Dinataranam. Yat kripatamaham vande Hare Krishna. Bhurini bhuri karmani shrotavyani vibhagasha atah sadhotrayat saram samudritya manishaya bruhi bhadraya bhutanam yenatma suprasidhati. So now we continue with the questions by the sages. That's the name of the chapter. So the first question was asked in which text? Tatra tatranjaya yushman bhavata yad vinishchitam pumsam ekantatah shreyas tanna samshitun arhasi. Please therefore, being blessed with many years, explain to us in an easily understandable way what you have ascertained to be the absolute and ultimate good for the people in general. So last time we discussed about this, the absolute and ultimate. There are two aspects which have been mentioned, which have been questioned, and the word which is used here is shreyas, good. But ekantatah means absolutely. Shreya means ultimate good. So that's how both, when they mix together, ekantatah shreyaha is the absolute and ultimate good for the people in general. Again, we can see the broad nature and mentality of sages of Naimisharanya. That is why it is said, a man is known by his company. So when you keep a company of such like-minded people, or people who are broad-minded, who are not only self-centered but are actually God-centered, because one who thinks about others, it's only possible when you have a qualification of being a God-centered or a spiritualist. That's why Prabhupada says in many places, and he quotes 6th chapter where Krishna says, he sees me everywhere, he is in me and I am in him. So a spiritualist, a Krishna conscious devotee, is one who sees Krishna everywhere, because he only sees Krishna and his energies pervading throughout the creation. The creation cannot be without the creator, and the creator also cannot be without his creation. Because the creation is the energy, and the creator is the energetic. And that is how we see how the sages of Naimisharanya are so concerned, because they know, or they are being they are in fact bringing this point in front of Suta Goswami, why they are asking these two questions, and they have sandwiched one most important verse which you covered last time. They are saying that it is not possible or practical for people this age of Kali to study scriptures, various scriptures. That's why the word here which is used is Shrotavyani. to be learned. So the process of understanding scriptures is by hearing from a bona fide source. Krishna also stresses this in the 4th chapter, tad vidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadakshyanti te jnaninas tattvadarshinaha. You have to approach a tattvadarshi, the qualification. And we have amply also read in a few verses before the qualifications of Suta Goswami. He was very well read, he was blessed by his spiritual master, he was very gentle in his behavior, he was very submissive. So, with this applauds all decorating his, or the abhushan's, or the decorative jewelry on his character, spiritual character, has made him qualified to take up the Vyas Peet as the Acharya of the sages of Naimisharanya. So Prabhupada says Acharya means one who lives by example. And the sages, after having said this first question, follow up it with the nature of Kali Yuga, and they are very specific that Kali Yuga is very, very bad. What are the bad elements of Kali Yuga? O learned one. So who is that learned one? Sabhya. Sabhya means member of a learned society. So the learned one is Suta Goswami. O learned one, in this iron age of Kali, men have but short lives. So Prabhupada gives a very nice example about iron and gold. Both are metals, but iron is a low class metal, whereas gold is a higher class, or you can say the highest class of metals. That is why it is said the golden age, Krita Yug, golden age is which age? Satyuga. So what happens in Satyuga? The exact opposite of what has been mentioned. People are long lived in Kali Yuga, in Satyuga. They live for 1,00,000 years. They're not quarrelsome, that means they're cooperative. They're not lazy, they're very active spiritually. They're not misguided because they know whom to approach. They're not unfortunate or unlucky. And above all, they're never disturbed. That's the nature of Satyuga. That's why the specific word Prabhupada is using here, even though in word to word meaning Prabhupada does not say that. Kalo he says in this age of Kali, plural he uses, but then he says here in this iron age of Kali. And we read amply how people are diverted from the goal of human life, which is self-realization, because of bad education system, and they're short-lived because of bad habits, irregular habits, and people do not have proper education. They're victimized by sense gratificatory diversions like cinema, sports, gambling, clubs, mundane libraries, bad associations, smoking, drinking, cheating, pilfering, bickerings, and so on. So many things are there in this material world. In Kali Yuga, the effect of Kali is so strong that a genuine spiritualist is said or is understood to be materialistic, even though he may be very simple in his living. And on the contrary, a materialist who is well dressed, who is very eloquent and speaks gibberish, is glorified as a saint. That's the nature of Kali Yuga. Because people are influenced by the lower modes of Rajoguna and specifically of Tamoguna. Coming to today's verse, again they're urging Suta Goswami with the second question. They have already asked what is the absolute and ultimate good for the people at large, general people or the human society. Now they are asking, Bruni Bruhi Karmani. Bhurini Bruhi Karma. There are so many scriptures. Vibhagashaha, divisions of subject matter. No, that's why the Vedas were divided by Vedavyas, and further divisions have happened, and he had given this in charge of the six Sat Darshans to some of his disciples, but he specifically took up the task of writing the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, which has been found to be the essence of all scriptures. Which verse says that? Which verse says that Bhagavatam is the essence of all scriptures? No. Second verse, Dharma projita ketava atra paramo nirmat saranam satam vedyam vastavam atra vastu shivadam tapatrayan unmulanam Śrīmad Bhāgavate Mahamuni krite kim vapare ishvaraha sadhyo ridhi avarudhyate atra kritibhir shushrubhis tatshanat. So partially in part 1, in second verse this is mentioned, and in third verse elaboration is there. So this beautiful Bhagavatam compiled with the great sage Vyasadeva is sufficient in itself for God's realization. So this is the aspect where it has been pointed out that we need not read all these divisions of the Vedic literatures, but rather we should divert our mind to Bhagavad Gita and Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. Nigama kalpataror galitam phalam shukhamukhad amritam dravya samyutam. So this dravya samyutam, semi-solid, soft, and therefore easily soluble, samyutam, perfect in all respects. It's nigama kalpataror, it is the fully matured fruit of the tree of Vedic literatures. Therefore, this fruit has become even more tasteful, although its nectarian juice is already relishable for all, including liberated souls. So, if at all there is something we have to search for, what is the essence which this great sadhus, these great spiritualists are asking Shuta Goswami, they can only be found in the pages of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. So there are many varieties of scriptures, and in all of them there are many prescribed duties which can be learned only after many years of study in their various divisions. So that is why it is said Bhagavatam is Amal Puran, because it does not divert you towards what? What are the Purusharthas? What are the Purusharthas? Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. These are Purusharthas. So other scriptures are actually diverting us to sections which are not related to the soul. Soul has only one goal in life. What is that goal? Krishna Prem, love of Godhead. That can satisfy the soul. Nothing else can satisfy. No Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha can satisfy the soul. That's why specifically they are saying, Ye Atma, Ye Natma Suprasidati, Ye Atma, by which Atma, the self, becomes fully satisfied. So very important to take up this statement here, Suprasidhati, fully satisfied. Soul can be fully satisfied only by achieving Krishna Prem, or by treading the path of where the goal of life is Krishna Prem. That is the path of Krishna consciousness. So that is how Prabhupada begins the purport specifically saying Atma or self is distinguished from matter and material elements. And that is what Krishna also says to Arjun. In which chapter? Where he distinguishes Atma from matter. Which chapter? Second chapter. So there he says how there is a difference between the soul and matter. In fact, Krishna begins his teachings by telling this fact here to Arjun, Dehinosmin yatha dehe komaram yovanam jara tata dehantara prapte dhirastatra na muhyati. Please become a dhira, become a sober person, become a gentle person, become a person in spiritual consciousness. Because a spiritual consciousness person knows I am not this body, I am spirit soul, I am part and parcel of the Supreme. This body is temporary, it has a beginning, it has an end, it has 6 changes, and it has come from matter, it will go into the source of matter. All scriptures and spiritual instructions are meant for the satisfaction of this self or Atma. So, the essence of all scriptures, spiritual instructions, see that's why Prabhupada specifically mentions all scriptures and spiritual instructions. They're meant. All scriptures are actually meant. That's why Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Vedescha sarvair aham eva vedyaho. Vedyaho, to know. You should know me. So next question is, until and unless you know Krishna, and what is your relationship with him, your journey of self-realization does not start. Even if you may do a lot of austerities, tapasyas, penances, get a lot of yogi siddhis, but you will never be ye atma suprasidati. Your atma will never be suprasidati. It will never be satisfied. Because you still have hankerings, material hankerings in your heart. You want to become the enjoyer. That is the disease. Hridaroga kam. The heart disease of the soul is calm. Independent enjoyment of Krishna. So all spiritual instructions are actually meant to purify or treat this heart disease, which is lust. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, it is lust only which is the all-devouring enemy of the soul. Kama esha krodha esha rajoguna samudbhava mahashano mahapapma vidhi iha vairinam. Iha vairinam. It's the greatest enemy of the soul. Why? It keeps you in an delusion that you are the enjoyer. And what does a false enjoyer actually do? So we see here the word here Shrotavyani. We see in the Bhagavatam, 2nd canto, there is a nice verse by Shukadev Goswami. He says, Shrotavyadini Rajendra Nrinam Shanti Sahasrasaha Apashyatam Atmatattvam Griheshu Grihamedina. So materialist, a karmi, or a person who is having material consciousness, they have Shrotavyadini, subject matter for hearing. Again we hear the word here also is same thing, Shrotavyani, to be learned, subject matters for hearing. So the process of learning is actually the process of hearing. So you can only learn by hearing what subject matters, transcendental subject matters. And here we see a materialist. What is he engaged in? Those persons who are materially engrossed, being blind to the knowledge of ultimate truth, have many subject matters for hearing in human society or emperor. O emperor, Hey Rajendra, Rajendra means Raj Indra, the emperor. That means he is a Chakravarti Samrat. He is emperor. His empire is so big. The entire world was actually under him. Under whom? Parikshit Maharaj. And he is telling Parikshit Maharaj, a materialist, he's so engrossed in subject matters because he is blind to the knowledge of ultimate truth. He is blind to what is supposed to be heard. So in the purport, Prabhupada says, in the revealed scriptures there are 2 nomenclatures for householder life. One is Grahastha, other is Grihamedi. The Grahasthas are those who live together with wife and children but live transcendently for realizing the ultimate truth. They're not blind to the absolute truth, the ultimate truth. The ultimate truth is to understand who Krishna is. The Grahamedis, however, are those who live only for the benefit of family members, extended or centralized, and thus are envious of others. The word Medhi indicates jealousy of others. Grahamedhi, being interested in family affairs only, are certainly envious of others. Therefore, one Grahamedi is not on good terms with another Grahamedi, and in extended form, one community, society, nation not on good terms with another counterpart of selfish interest. In the age of Kali, all the householders are jealous of one another because they are blind to the knowledge of ultimate truth. So that is the reason why all these world wars are going on, because people have become Grahamedis, they are no longer Grihasthas. That's why Prabhupada says Grihastha is an ashrama. Ashram means a spiritual centered place where you practice spirituality. And in the purport, Prabhupada says the Varnan Ashrama society are considered to be the best institution for lifting the human being to the spiritual platform. But due to Kali Yuga, it is not possible to execute the rules and regulations of this institution. So even if you may distribute or divide people, there will be a lot of discrepancies even in this Varnashrama system. That's why it has been proposed by great acharyas like Srila Prabhupada, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Devi Varnashrama, where the center is activities to Krishna. Everyone is initiated in the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra, and everybody does their duties for the satisfaction of the spiritual master and Krishna. So pocket Vaikunthas Prabhupada has created. Like in this institution of International Society for Krishna Consciousness, Hare Krishna movement, not everybody is doing the same activities, but quality wise is the same activity. Quantity wise, or the activities per se may be different. One is cooking for the Lord, somebody is cleaning for the Lord, somebody is going outside begging alms, distributing spiritual knowledge, doing the best welfare activity in the human society is to awaken people to self-realization. That's what the preachers of Krishna consciousness movement are doing. So there are various activities. Prabhupada says Krishna is not stereotyped, Krishna is dynamic force. In all our activities, the whole center point should be satisfaction of Guru and Krishna. You should verify yourself, cross-verify. Don't let your mind bewilder you. We have to cross-verify. Is this ordered by Prabhupada? Will Prabhupada be happy? Forget about Krishna being happy. Unless and until Prabhupada is happy, Krishna cannot be happy. Yasya prasadat bhagavad prasado yasya prasada nagati kato. So very simple spiritual arithmetic principle we should remember. If at all we want to progress, we have to ensure that we please Prabhupada. Spiritual master is pleased when his disciple is always absorbed in his instructions and working hard to execute his instructions with his body, mind and words. Iha yasya Hare Dasa karmana manasa gira nikhileshwa avasthasu jivan mukta sauchyate. You can be jivan mukta when you are actually always absorbed in the instructions of the spiritual master. Working, first of all, absorbing is so important mentally. We have to keep our mind always absorbed in the instructions of Srila Prabhupada. On top of that, we should not just be meditating on those instructions, we should also try to execute the instructions of spiritual master to such an extent that if we have to lay down our lives, we should be willing to do that. Prabhupada says in the purport of Lord Shiva speaking to the Prachetas, 4th canto, 24th chapter, text number 27 or 26 purport. Very nice instructions Prabhupada has written. It's worth recalling. The essence is that the disciples must always be meditating on the instructions of the spiritual master. They should always be associating through Vani with the spiritual master. Even in their dreams, they should be associating with the spiritual master. That's why Prabhupada says, without the association of a pure devotee, it is very difficult to make progress. Even a moment's association with a pure devotee, we can make tremendous progress. So that should be our very, very strong desire, that I always associate with Srila Prabhupada through his books, through his institution, through his activities. Because every activity we are doing is actually done through the instructions or the orders of spiritual master. That is the standard of devotion. A disciple should never think that I can serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead directly. It's not possible. We are so impure. That's why we are and will always be eternally indebted to His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada for uplifting our consciousness, because the spirit soul is actually fallen down in this material world in the platform of consciousness. So, the whole essence of entire Vedic literatures, as given in all the scriptures, is to take shelter of a bona fide spiritual master and to execute devotional service, pure devotional service under his guidance, so that we can one day become purified sufficiently to associate with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And very specifically, wonderfully, the sages are asking, please select best of your knowledge, Manishaya, which is Bhadrai, which is good. So earlier Shreyas was used, ultimate good. Here they are using another word, Bhadraya, Bhutanam, good for all. And how much they are so broad-minded, constantly thinking. Prabhupada says that's the way to control the mind. When you're constantly absorbed in thinking how to do good to others and not about sense gratification. How to enjoy my senses, how I'll get this instrument, that instrument, I will show off to this person, that person. I will dress up in such a way and show off that I have this. This is all false prestige, false pride. The process of surrender necessitates for us to give up this false prestige. Nirmana moha jita sanga dosha adhyatma vinivritta kamaha. We have to give up this kama, this material desire, this false prestige that I am something, I own something. We're all custodians of the gifts of the spiritual master and Krishna. We should realize that. And we should take up this movement of Krishna consciousness very seriously and propagate that the highest or the essential instruction as given, by such instruction their hearts may be fully satisfied, is when the living entity is fully surrendered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sarva dharman parityaja mam ekam sharanam vraja, and fully take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And that is only possible when we take shelter of the spiritual master and execute the practices of Krishna consciousness, especially chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. So it is mentioned again by Rupa Goswami in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Smartavya satatam Vishnu Vishmartavya na jatu chit Sarva vidhi nidesha sur, then etayor eva kinkara. So, if at all somebody asks, what is the essence? Can you just tell in one verse? This is the verse to be cited. Always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. All vidhis, rules and regulations, and nisheds, they're all meant they're all servants of these two instructions. Always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. You can always remember Krishna when your mind is sinless. When you're sinless, you're free from sense gratification, you're free from the tendency to sin. And what is the tendency to sin? Anything which is not ordered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead is sin. Even though it may be materially pious, but because it is not ordered by the Lord, it is sin. So Prabhupada says, you can only understand whether your mind is conquered when it accepts dictation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead seated in your heart. That Supreme Personality of Godhead seated in your heart has externally appeared as the spiritual master to guide us on the path of self-realization. So it is very simple. We should understand we can only control our mind, this ever disturbing mind, by following the instructions of the spiritual master, working very hard, not allowing the mind to dictate sense gratificatory ideas to us. Let us do this, let us enjoy this. It's all very dangerous for a spiritualist. So I'll stop here. Anybody has any questions, suggestions, comments? Srila Prabhupada ki, Grantara Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki. Nitai Gaur.